watching continuing coverage of the World Healthcare Congress. I'm Mabel Zhang, and here we have Tom Emmerich, who is of Emmerich Consulting. Thank you, Tom, for your time today. Well, tell me what your work is at Emmerich Consulting.
Well, thank you for inviting me to have this conversation with you. In Edison Health, we concentrate on a niche in healthcare, and that's so-called outliers. In benefit plans today, 6% of the enrollees are spending 80% of the dollars. A lot of people don't realize that. And that outlier population is the group that's causing healthcare costs to go up.
And who are the outlier?
The other 94% of people that are only spending 20% of the dollars. It's the outliers that are causing all the growth in costs, all the rising premiums and so forth.
What would you term as the outlier population?
Again, it's a 6% of enrollees that spend 80% of the dollars. They usually have very complex health conditions like cancer, heart disease, or cancer and heart disease. And there's probably nobody that's studied the outliers more than I have in my career. Among that outlier cohort, that 6% that spends 80% of the dollars, 20% of that group have been completely misdiagnosed. They don't have the disease they're being treated for. And another 20% have, even if they're diagnosed correctly, have either incompetent or suboptimal treatment plans. And on that diagnosis piece, I'd like to read something that was just published in from the National Academy of Medicine, and I'll read this quote. Despite the pervasiveness of diagnostic errors and the risk for serious patient harm, diagnostic errors have been largely unappreciated within the quality and patient safety movements in healthcare.
Okay.
Close quotes. There's an epidemic of misdiagnosis going on in America today among that population.
And how does that happen?
It happens because those outliers are used to seeing multiple specialists who don't collaborate with each other. They may be seeing one specialist for high blood sugar, another specialist for cancer, another specialist for heart disease. They can have another specialist for, say, emotional difficulties.
Okay.
If they don't talk to each other, they won't have a consolidated, cohesive diagnosis.
Okay. And so what is your work at Emmerich Consulting? What is your function and your role?
In Emmerich Consulting, what I do is I match employers, self-insured employers, with centers of excellence to get the diagnosis and the treatment plan right and help them move their patients to those centers.
Okay.
I arrange direct contracts between payers, self-insured employers, and centers. A larger and larger cohort of self-insured employers are realizing that there's a huge problem with misdiagnosis. And I know the centers in America that get the diagnosis right and give the right treatment plan, the optimal treatment plan for patients, and I connect the two.
What is your message here at the meeting, Tom?
Well, the message at the meeting is first off, nobody's going to control healthcare costs unless they're micromanaging the outliers. Interestingly, many companies are spending 90% of their efforts managing the 94% of the people that only spend 20% of the dollars. That needs to be flipped.
Okay.
If they're going to be successful going forward managing healthcare costs, they've got to manage 80% of the spend, not spend their energy managing 20% of the spend. And again, a lot of companies I talk to are not aware of that. I've gone out to the companies and said, you know, in your company, 6% of the members are spending 80% of the dollars. And they go, not in our company, it's not.
Right.
Interestingly, a couple of years ago, I visited a company and said maybe 30% of the members are spending 80% of the dollars. I said, check it out. They called me a few months later and they said I was wrong. In their company, 5% of the enrollees were spending 95% of the dollars.
Right, wow.
And they said, how come our consultant didn't tell us that? And I said, I don't know, you have to ask him, don't ask me.
Okay.
And they said, why didn't our plan tell us that? And I said, the plan doesn't tell you that because you're asking for averages. What's the average employee spend on musculoskeletal, diabetes, et cetera? You should look at it by distribution.
Okay. Tom, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate your comments.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And I'm Mabel Zhang. Thanks for watching.